Hello there, welcome to another YouTube video with Ungainly Titan, and I want to say a few words about FantasyGrounds Unity. FantasyGrounds have been working on a transfer to the Unity engine for their existing FantasyGrounds 2 application for quite some time. I think at least 4 years, possibly longer. I'm not 100% sure. They might even have been doing it before I started using FantasyGrounds. They certainly seem to have been doing it since forever. So what is FantasyGrounds Unity, and why is it relevant now? Well, on the 1st of April, Smiteworks, Doug Davison, put up in social media, I think Facebook and possibly other places, an announcement that Smiteworks were going to bring out a Kickstarter on May the 1st for FantasyGrounds Unity. Now, this is genuine. They are actually going to do it. There's more information. They do video streams, FantasyGrounds Friday. There will be a link, I think, in the video description below, where they actually discuss people's users' questions and a lot more information. More or less, I'm kind of basically basing a lot of this video on what they said in that video and some of the stuff that I've read on their forums, and also just some of the videos I've watched. They've put out some YouTube videos, Smiteworks or FantasyGrounds YouTube. Short videos just showing what some of the enhanced capabilities of FantasyGrounds Unity are. So what is FantasyGrounds Unity, and why should I be concerned about it, or should I be concerned about it at all? Well, I don't think that you need to be concerned as such. Unity is a software development library or software development environment. It's originally, I think, developed for games development, but I think it'll work for a lot more than just games development. Anything that has kind of game-like elements to it. In terms of, imaging, mapping, animation, that kind of stuff. Unity has tools and stuff for it. It has also tools for a lot of the other things that go with modern game development. To the extent and degree of it now, I don't know, don't ask me. I haven't researched or looked into FantasyGrounds. Sorry, that is, I haven't looked into Unity, rather. I've been looking into FantasyGrounds as much as I possibly could manage it. However, the impression I get is that a lot of their work has basically been ensuring that the content, all their existing content, will continue to work in the Unity engine. So most of the development they've been doing has been focused on making sure that all the existing content will continue to work, and I think it's their aim and ambition also that stuff like community-based extensions. So there's quite a few mods essentially to FantasyGrounds available from the FantasyGrounds community that extend the functionality of FantasyGrounds in various ways. Now, some of these mods will probably become redundant with FantasyGrounds Unity, and that FantasyGrounds Unity may actually supply some of the functionality supplied by the mods, but others probably will not. And the impression I get is that they intend that a lot of these mods will continue to work even in the new FantasyGrounds Unity. So my current impression is that you'll get essentially the same application. It'll look more or less the same. It'll behave more or less the same. Now, I suppose partly that's going to be a continuity of user experience. They don't want to change the UI too drastically, because then you'll be wondering where everything's gone and how do you find or do anything that you were quite capable of doing before. But there's one of the disappointments I have, instance, is there's going to be no support for multiple monitors. Now, I personally would like to be able to drag windows out of the main frame of the application and just hang them in a separate monitor, rather than having to search around or hunt around sometimes for things that get buried behind other stuff, other elements of the UI like maps or the combat tracker or whatever. That said, the news that you can use all your existing content and you don't have to buy your content again is going to be a huge plus. And presumably, one of the purposes of going for Unity is that if they do make a major change, like if they wanted to introduce we call it UI multi-monitor support, they could probably do so without rebuilding an awful lot of the infrastructure they'd need to handle it in the existing application. In the existing application, they might have to build a complete messaging system, for instance, to handle all the traffic between the separated UI elements and the other UI elements that are built. It might require complete restructuring of tens of thousands of lines of code, whereas a lot of that infrastructure will be already built into the Unity engine, so hopefully they'll be able to do enhancements like that in the future. It would also mean that other future developments like helper apps on phones or tablets might be possible coming down the line, because of course Unity will compile towards other non-standard, should we say, non-PC formats like tablets and phones and Xboxes and various other things of that nature. So from the perspective of real visible change to the users, I get the impression that most of that's going to be in the mapping side of things. There's the addition of dynamic lighting. So if the characters are registered as having a light source, then the distances that the light source will allow them to see will be included in the game. Possibly including dim light, bright light, I'm not sure. That aspect of it is a rules aspect of it, so it might not be obvious or it might not be doable from the mapping engine or from that side of the application, because there's different rule systems and different rule sets would have different distances, say for bright light, dim light for a torch, or dark vision or infravision, or whatever kind of seeing the dark vision that you have in your particular variation of the game. So it's probably going to be all or nothing type fixed distance light source shows so far, or your vision shows so far, depending on the classic characters. I think there's mention of a dynamic fog of war, but I'm not 100% sure how that will work. And there's going to be drawing layers and map drawing capability. So if you're building a scratch encounter, say there's a random encounter has occurred in the forest, where you have no existing map, or the module didn't provide you with a map, then you can draw a map on the fly. You can use either tile sets or drawing tools, or I think there's what they call image drawing as well. This demo, and they all look like viable ways of doing this kind of thing. In my own opinion, the drawing tools alone are a badly needed enhancement. The ability to just sketch out a map, even if you're just using drawing tools, for a random encounter or an unexpected encounter, something that's kind of off the prepared path, is a very useful addition to the game. And if you can actually do it quite easily from, like I said, map tiles or image drawing or whatever these other things are, that would be a huge bonus. The other big change is that the new version of FantasyGrounds Unity will be able to do without port forwarding. You will still be able to run it in the current fashion, where you set up port forwarding, you completely host it on your local machine, and you don't involve external lobbies or FantasyGrounds servers much, or anything in the management of your network and your player connections. But you can also run the player connection through the FantasyGrounds servers, and in that case you don't need to set up port forwarding. They'll manage the network traffic direction elements of the thing for you, and the thing will be completely seamless from the player's perspective. However, to enable that to work, all versions of the game will require you to be a registered user, a registered forum member on the FantasyGrounds website. So you have to have a forum account on the FantasyGrounds website, and you'll have to have that to use any version of the game, including the demo version. So there's no kind of anonymous use version of the game. You'll have to be signed in with FantasyGrounds to run any version of the games, but the same licensing types will continue to apply. So you'll have demo licenses, standard licenses, and the ultimate licenses, and you can buy them as a one-off cost, or you can subscribe as per normal. Now, this will be in the post-Kickstarter period. That for the Kickstarter period and until the game's final release, it will be the Kickstarter backers that will, and whatever license you've paid for in that period, that you get to use the game. The game will be a 64-bit app, so you are able to use images larger than what's currently allowed for maps. However, modules created by you for your own use, that's way will not be backwards compatible with the original, with the classic version of the game. The impression I'm getting is that if you buy a module post-release of FantasyGrounds Unity, it'll be the same content you're buying, whether you're buying it for FantasyGrounds Unity or FantasyGrounds Classic, except Unity will be able to take advantage of extra attributes, So we'll be able to do the dynamic lighting and that kind of stuff. It'll be built in for new content, and eventually it will be kind of retrofitted to all existing content. But at launch, a lot of the existing content won't have these enhancements created for them. So, but you can add them yourself, because the same tools that FantasyGrounds are used to add it to the existing content can also be used by the community to add it to content that they've purchased. While you will have to build or buy a new license to use FantasyGrounds Unity, your existing content will be transferred to your to Unity for you. So I don't know if you can use both. You probably can, but why would you want to? Is, you know, you've gone and paid for this new application. Why would you go back and use the old one? The plan, I think, as far as I can tell, is that the thing will be rolled out basically over the rest of this year. So the Kickstarter kicks off on May the 1st. I'm not too sure how long a Kickstarter takes place. You know, how long you have before they can complete the closed pledges. 45 days, maybe something like that. I'm not sure. It'll be a bit over a month. Sometime after the Kickstarter, there'll be an alpha phase. I think that'll be a special backer, limited time only. But you also, I think, have to turn up in Orlando, Florida to get the code or get the application. You would then have period and alpha, period and beta. The idea being that the game is ready for final release in December sometime, if everything goes well. And there's nothing, no showstoppers show up in the beta phase or anything like that. Kickstarter pricing, and that is, well, there's going to be different kinds of existing users. So there's discounts for existing users. So post Kickstarter pricing is going to be standard is $39 and the ultimate's $149, which I think is pretty much the same as the current price. Kickstarter pricing, all Kickstarter backers will gain access to beta. The newcomers, if you're buying it sort of cold without previous edition, will be $35. The ultimate is $135. So it represents kind of a modest discount. If you're a rookie user, you've bought it in 2018 or 2019, then you can get an ultimate to ultimate upgrade for $30, and if you get a standard to ultimate, a standard upgrade for $15. If you're a veteran, that is, you bought it prior to 2017 or prior, that's prior to 2018, the ultimate to ultimate upgrade is $60, and the standard to standard upgrade is $29. There's no mention if you were one of a veteran or rookie user, but you want to go from standard to ultimate. Presumably you'll pay the $135, but I don't know. There's also going to be the monthly subscriptions, which I think are the same as the current monthly subscriptions. You just change over to the new one when it becomes available. Anyway, that's as much as I know. I do look forward to the Kickstarter, and I hope you found this video informative. If you did, please give it a like and a share. Feel free to comment if you have not already done so. Please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.